He vanished with $20 million and was never seen again. If you love stories about power, betrayal, and the shadows of history, make sure to follow, because this one changes everything. Brooklyn, New York, January 7, 1973. 6:47 a.m. Federal agents surround a brownstone at 953 Caton Avenue. 8 DEA officers, 4 FBI agents, 2 local detectives. They have warrants for tax evasion and conspiracy to distribute narcotics. The target is Frank Larry Matthews, age 28, born Durham, North Carolina, February 13, 1944, known on the street as Black Caesar, the man who built an empire no black gangster had ever built before. The door opens at 7:03 a.m. Matthews stands in the doorway, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, wearing a silk robe. His common-law wife, Barbara Hinton, watches from the stairs. 3 young sons sleep upstairs. Matthews does not resist. He asks to make one phone call. The agents refuse. By noon, Matthews sits in a federal holding cell in Lower Manhattan. His organization operates in 21 states. Philadelphia to Miami, Detroit to Los Angeles. He moves 300 kilos of heroin per month, 500 kilos of cocaine. Wholesale value exceeds $15 million monthly. No black man in America has ever controlled this much territory. No black man has ever had direct access to the French connection. Matthews started with nothing. At age 14 in Durham, he led a gang that stole chickens from local farms. The Durham police arrested him twice before he turned 16. In 1960, he moved to Philadelphia, worked as a numbers runner for local bookies, made $60 a week. By 1962, he saved enough to move to Brooklyn, Bedford-Stuyvesant, the heart of Black Brooklyn. Matthews rented a room on Nostrand Avenue, started running numbers for an old-timer named Zach Robinson. Robinson had connections. Robinson knew people who moved heroin through Harlem. Robinson introduced Matthews to Harold Hollywood Munger. Munger was different. White man. Connected to the Corsican Mafia in Marseille, Munger could get pure heroin. The kind that came from Turkey, processed in French labs, shipped through Montreal. The French connection. Munger needed distributors. Needed someone hungry. Needed someone the Italian families wouldn't notice. Matthews met Munger at a diner on Utica Avenue, spring 1965. Munger arrived at 2:15 p.m. They sat in the back booth. Munger ordered coffee. Matthews ordered nothing. Munger slid an envelope across the table. Inside were 2 samples. Pure white powder, 92% pure. Street value after cutting, $40,000. Munger gave Matthews 1 week. Matthews distributed through Bedford-Stuyvesant in 3 days. He came back with cash. Munger was impressed. They made a deal. Matthews would get 5 kilos on consignment every month. Matthews would pay wholesale, $12,000 per kilo. After cutting and distribution, Matthews cleared $120,000 on his first shipment. By 1967, Matthews expanded beyond Brooklyn. He recruited distributors in Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. He paid his people well, 20% commission, better than the Italian families offered. Black dealers started switching suppliers. The 5 families noticed. Carlo Gambino sent word. Matthews needed to meet. Show respect. Pay tribute. Matthews refused. This was the move that changed everything. No black dealer had ever refused the Mafia before. They always paid. They always bent the knee. Matthews had a different vision. He believed black dealers could operate independently, cut out the Italian middlemen, connect directly to sources overseas, build their own infrastructure. In 1968, Matthews made contact with suppliers in Venezuela. In 1969, he established a pipeline through Panama. By 1970, he had direct connections to Corsican suppliers in Marseille. The Italian families tried pressure. They sent collectors to Matthews' distributors, threatened suppliers, burned down 2 distribution houses in Philadelphia. Matthews responded by moving operations. He established a headquarters at 2785 Ocean Avenue in Brooklyn, a 3-story building, reinforced doors, armed guards rotating in 8-hour shifts, security cameras at every entrance, a command center on the 3rd floor. From Ocean Avenue, Matthews coordinated the entire operation. He installed secure phone lines to 21 cities, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles, Oakland. He never wrote anything down. All transactions verbal. All payments in cash. His lieutenants reported twice weekly. They came to Brooklyn. They never spoke on phones about business. Matthews purchased a mansion at 7 Buttonwood Road, Tot Hill, Staten Island, 3 blocks from Paul Castellano's home. Castellano was underboss of the Gambino family, would become boss in 1976. Matthews chose this location deliberately. A statement. He could afford to live among the Mafia elite. He was not afraid. The mansion had white pillars, marble floors, gold-plated fixtures in the bathrooms. Matthews moved Barbara and their 3 sons there in January 1971. The neighbors watched. Some complained. The Mafia bosses said nothing publicly, but the tension grew. In November 1971, Matthews organized a meeting in Atlanta. He invited 40 major black and Latino drug dealers from across the country. The meeting took place at a hotel in downtown Atlanta. Matthews rented the entire top floor. Security at every elevator. No weapons allowed inside the conference room. Matthews addressed the group for 2 hours. He explained his vision. A national network independent of Italian control. Direct connections to international suppliers. Fair distribution of territory. Mutual protection. 28 dealers agreed immediately. 6 wanted time to consider. 4 refused. 2 of those 4 were found dead within 6 months. The Atlanta conference marked the height of Matthews' power. He was 37 years old. He controlled the largest black criminal organization in American history. Federal estimates placed his annual income at $50 million. He owned properties in 7 states. He had offshore accounts in the Bahamas, Switzerland, and Venezuela, but the FBI was watching. So was the DEA. They had been building a case for 18 months. The investigation started in Philadelphia. A mid-level dealer named Raymond Peoples got arrested in March 1971. Peoples was moving 20 kilos monthly. He faced 40 years. The DEA offered him a deal. Give up your source. Peoples gave them one name, Frank Matthews. The DEA formed a task force. Special Agent Francis McCardle led the team. 12 agents assigned full-time. They tracked Matthews' movements, photographed his associates, logged his phone records, built a network chart. By September 1972, they had documentation on 117 people in Matthews' organization. The IRS joined the investigation in October 1972. Matthews filed tax returns showing annual income of $45,000. He claimed to own a small janitorial supply company. The IRS found property records showing real estate worth over $2 million. They found bank records for accounts holding $3 million in cash. They calculated Matthews owed back taxes of $7 million. On December 28, 1972, a federal grand jury in Brooklyn returned sealed indictments. Frank Matthews, conspiracy to distribute narcotics, tax evasion, racketeering, 18 co-conspirators also indicted. The government requested no bail, flight risk, international connections, access to unlimited funds. The DEA moved on January 5, 1973, not in Brooklyn. In Las Vegas, Matthews had flown there the day before, planning a meeting with West Coast distributors. He checked into the Las Vegas Hilton at 4:32 p.m., room 2847. He brought his girlfriend, Cheryl Denise Brown, age 23. From Brooklyn, she had been with Matthews for 2 years. The DEA arrested Matthews in the hotel lobby at 6:15 p.m. Cheryl Brown was arrested with him. They found $8,000 cash in Matthews' briefcase. They found keys to 3 safety deposit boxes. They found an address book with 213 names and phone numbers. Matthews was transferred to McCarran International Airport. A federal jet flew him to New York. He arrived at 3:20 a.m. Eastern Time. By 8 a.m., he stood before a federal magistrate in Brooklyn. The prosecutor requested $5 million bail. Matthews' attorney argued for $1 million. The magistrate set bail at $5 million. Matthews could not post $5 million. He sat in the Metropolitan Correctional Center for 4 months. His organization continued operating. His lieutenants ran the network. The money kept flowing. Matthews sent word through his attorney. Keep everything running. Pay everyone on schedule. Show no weakness. In April 1973, Matthews' legal team filed a motion. They argued the bail amount was excessive, unconstitutional, a violation of Matthews' rights. On April 26th, federal judge Jacob Mishler reviewed the case. He reduced bail to $325,000. Matthews posted bail on April 29, 1973. He walked out of the Metropolitan Correctional Center at 2:47 p.m. His attorney drove him to Brooklyn. Matthews went to the Ocean Avenue headquarters. 32 people waited for him. His top lieutenants, his most trusted operators. They met until midnight. What happened in that meeting remains unknown. No one who attended has ever talked. But over the next 8 weeks, Matthews took specific actions. He liquidated properties. He closed bank accounts. He moved money offshore. He collected debts. Everyone who owed him paid, some in full, some in percentages. By the end of June, Matthews had converted nearly everything to cash. His trial was scheduled for July 2, 1973. Pre-trial hearing at 10 a.m. Federal Courthouse in Brooklyn. Matthews was required to appear. His bail required his presence. Failure to appear meant automatic forfeiture of $325,000. Also meant automatic warrant for his arrest. Every law enforcement agency in America would be looking for him. On June 26, 1973, Frank Matthews disappeared. He left the Buttonwood Road mansion sometime after midnight. He took Cheryl Brown with him. He left behind Barbara Hinton. He left behind his 3 sons. He left behind the mansion. He left behind his cars. A 1972 Cadillac Eldorado. A 1971 Mercedes-Benz. A 1970 Lincoln Continental. A friend later told authorities that Matthews and Brown took a flight to Houston. This friend said they arrived in Houston on June 27th. From Houston, the trail goes cold. No confirmed sightings. No credit card transactions. No phone calls. No letters. No contact with family. No contact with associates. The FBI estimates Matthews took between $15 and $20 million with him. Most in cash. Some in negotiable bonds, some in foreign currency. The money came from years of accumulated profits, from liquidated assets, from final collections. On July 2, 1973, Matthews failed to appear in court. Judge Mishler issued a bench warrant. The FBI immediately classified Matthews as a fugitive. They sent his photograph and description to every field office. They contacted international law enforcement. They placed him on the 10 most wanted list. They offered a reward of $20,000 for information. The FBI pursued every lead. They interviewed over 300 people, associates, family members, former distributors, mafia informants. No one knew where Matthews went, or no one talked. The FBI could never determine which. They searched for Cheryl Brown simultaneously. Her family claimed no contact. Her friends claimed no knowledge. The FBI theorized Matthews and Brown fled together to a country without extradition: Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, Morocco, perhaps Corsica. In 1975, an informant claimed to have seen Matthews in Venezuela. The FBI sent agents to Caracas. They found nothing. In 1978, another informant claimed Matthews was living in Morocco. The FBI coordinated with Moroccan authorities. Again, nothing. In 1984, a third informant claimed Matthews died in a car accident in Brazil. The FBI investigated. They found no death records matching Matthews' description. The DEA maintained an active investigation until 1999. 26 years of searching. They interviewed informants across the United States. They monitored communications. They tracked financial transactions worldwide. They found nothing conclusive. In 2007, the FBI officially classified the Matthews case as inactive. Not closed, inactive. The warrant remains active. If Matthews is alive, he would be 80 years old in 2024. The FBI still maintains a file, still follows occasional tips, still hopes for a breakthrough. Barbara Hinton never spoke publicly about Matthews' disappearance. She raised their 3 sons alone. She kept the Buttonwood Road mansion until 1978. Then the IRS seized it for unpaid taxes. She moved to Atlanta. She died in 2006. The theories about Matthews' fate number in the dozens. Law enforcement developed 3 primary possibilities, each supported by some evidence. None proven conclusively. Theory 1. Matthews successfully fled the country and lived out his life in hiding. This theory has the most support among former DEA agents. Matthews had international connections. He spoke fluent Spanish. He had contacts in Venezuela, Panama, Colombia, Morocco, and France. He had enough money to disappear permanently. The lack of any confirmed sighting suggests professional planning. Matthews was known for meticulous preparation. He likely spent months planning his escape. He possibly had fake passports prepared. He possibly had properties purchased under false names. He possibly had new identities established. Countries like Morocco and Venezuela in 1973 had limited cooperation with U.S. law enforcement. A wealthy man with connections could disappear completely. Some retired agents believe Matthews lived in South America until natural death. Others believe he remained in Africa. One former DEA supervisor estimated Matthews survived until at least the year 2000. Theory 2. Matthews was killed by the Mafia or rival dealers. This theory emerged from underworld informants. Multiple sources claimed the Italian families ordered Matthews' execution. The Gambino family particularly wanted revenge. Matthews had disrespected them publicly. He lived near Castellano. He refused to pay tribute. He took business from their dealers. Some informants claimed Matthews never left New York. They claimed he was killed within days of his disappearance. They claimed his body was disposed of in the Atlantic Ocean. Other informants suggested the Corsican Mafia killed him. Matthews had accumulated large debts to French suppliers. The July court date created pressure. Maybe Matthews couldn't pay. Maybe the Corsicans decided to collect permanently. One informant claimed Matthews was killed in Venezuela by Colombian suppliers. Another claimed Cuban exiles killed him in Miami. These murder theories lack physical evidence. No body ever surfaced. No witness ever provided specific details that checked out. But the criminal underworld is skilled at making people disappear permanently. Theory 3. Matthews died accidentally shortly after fleeing. Heart attack, car accident, drowning, natural causes. This theory explains the absolute silence. If Matthews died naturally within weeks or months of disappearing, Cheryl Brown might have hidden his death. She might have kept the money. She might have created a new identity. She might have feared arrest if she reported his death. This theory has less support, but it remains possible. Matthews was under extreme stress in 1973. Months in jail, massive legal troubles, facing life in prison. The pressure could have caused medical problems. A sudden death followed by Brown's decision to stay hidden explains the complete absence of evidence. The impact of Matthews' operation continued long after his disappearance. His organization fragmented immediately. Without his leadership, the network collapsed within 18 months. His lieutenants fought over territory. Some were arrested, some were killed. The Italian families reclaimed much of the drug trade Matthews had controlled. But Matthews had proven something significant. He demonstrated that black criminals could operate at the highest levels. He showed that direct connections to international suppliers were possible. He built systems that other black gangsters studied and copied. Nicky Barnes in Harlem learned from Matthews' model. Barnes built his council using similar structures. Independent black operation, direct connections to suppliers, territory across multiple states. Barnes succeeded for 5 years before his 1977 arrest. Frank Lucas also studied Matthews' methods. Lucas went directly to Southeast Asia, cut out the Italian middlemen, brought heroin in through military connections. Lucas operated until 1975. The DEA estimated that Matthews' organization moved over $1 billion worth of heroin and cocaine during his 7-year operation. That's billion with a B. Adjusted for inflation, that equals approximately $6 billion in 2024 currency. The scope of his network remained unmatched by any black criminal organization for decades. Law enforcement studied the Matthews case extensively. It changed how the DEA approached organized crime investigations. They learned that criminal networks could be sophisticated and international. They learned that criminals could successfully evade capture with proper planning. They learned that electronic surveillance and financial tracking were essential tools. The techniques developed pursuing Matthews became standard procedure. The Matthews case influenced popular culture. Books were written, documentaries were produced, references appeared in films and television shows. The character of Frank White in the 1990 film King of New York drew partial inspiration from Matthews. The 2007 film American Gangster focused on Frank Lucas, but Lucas's story paralleled Matthews in several ways. Matthews remained less known than Lucas or Barnes because he disappeared before his trial. No testimony, no dramatic courtroom scene, no prison interviews, just silence. 3 people might know the truth about what happened to Frank Matthews. Cheryl Denise Brown is the first. She disappeared with him. She was 23 years old. If alive, she would be 74 in 2024. The FBI searched for her as intensely as they searched for Matthews. She vanished equally completely. No death record, no arrest record, no confirmed sighting. The second person is whoever helped Matthews escape. Someone provided logistics. Someone provided transportation. Someone provided documents. That person never came forward, never spoke to authorities, never tried to claim the $20,000 reward. The third person is whoever might have killed Matthews. If the murder theories are correct, someone knows. But 41 years of silence suggest that person either died or will never talk. The DEA keeps Matthews' file in a federal facility in Virginia. It contains over 15,000 pages, interview transcripts, surveillance photos, financial records, maps of his distribution network, names of associates, everything they learned during the investigation. The file remains classified. Researchers cannot access it. The DEA cites ongoing investigation, but no active work has occurred since 2007. The mystery endures. The biggest black drug lord in American history walked away from a federal trial and was never found. He outsmarted the FBI. He outsmarted the DEA. He outsmarted the Mafia, and he disappeared into history like smoke. Federal agents still receive occasional tips. Someone claims to have seen Matthews in Brazil. Someone claims he died in Mexico. Someone claims he's living in West Africa. Every tip gets logged. None have led anywhere. The file remains open.